A lot has been going on behind the scenes with me as of late, and I've been radio silent with you guys. It's time for me to explain some things about my life. My life hasn't been going so hot as of late. My situation began when a bad manager drove me out of a job I enjoyed in July 2017 after nearly 3 years of dedicated service. I was unemployed for nearly 2 years, and in that time, in December 2018, a certain program from a certain game company actually ceased operations. I know. I couldn't believe it. The floodgates have opened. The world is my oyster. Go forth and create. Unfortunately, I was out of a job with no way to acquire Let's Play equipment. We were all under the assumption that this program would never cease. Who even saw that coming? On top of that, the 3DS capture board market fell under, with Katsukity, the company I would have ordered one from, succumbing to legal parameters. Loopy had also stopped producing capture boards for what I presume was for similar reasons, so leaving my old job cost me the ability to produce Let's Plays of DS, 3DS, and 3DS Virtual Console games. It would be 5 years before a reliable solution finally came by, but I'm getting ahead of myself. In June 2019, I finally landed a job at the casino I work at with a similar position to my old job, basically a glorified janitor working the evening shift. I initially had doubts about the hours but decided to see where the job would take me a month into it. I was able to save up for Let's Play equipment immediately after starting my current job, starting with the Elgato HD60S and a cheap headset mic, before finally getting my $1,200 laptop in September 2019. Being able to produce my first Let's Play under my new channel that same month. I was able to start cheap, with my video editor being the computer's built-in photo editing app, which is no longer available. I had originally gotten started on YouTube in 2011, shortly after graduating from high school, recording Nintendo DS games with little more than my iPod Touch and a few small boxes to place it on. But that certain program drove me out because I don't know anything about the law, so many of my old videos were targeted and it just wouldn't stop. I was excited to finally have another chance at YouTube after being driven out once before, and this time I could do it the right way with the capture card. Unfortunately, with the 3DS capture board market already having gone under upon getting this job, I was limited to covering home console games, with no way to produce handheld Let's Plays other than the few DS games that came out to the Wii U Virtual Console, of which I made one early in my channel's life. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic would hit around the world, changing everything as we once knew for eternity. Just before that happened, my folks ran into the folks of my friend Danny. They gave him my phone number and we'd arranged our first meetup since early 2012. Danny would introduce me to two of his friends, and I was excited when I found out I'd be on furlough for a while as I knew it opened up future hangout possibilities. However, our group of four wouldn't last for long. We'd play video games together, but I found out from Danny that they're social recluses, refusing to step out of their comfort zone. I found out they're both far more used to RPGs and online games, both genres I have little experience in due to me being more used to platforming games and being hesitant to play PlayStation and Xbox online, due to unpleasant stories about get good. The fuck does that even mean? You can't just expect me to be god tier in non-Nintendo games when I literally grew up with those games. One night, three of us discussed playing Mario Kart and Danny's friend asked if I drift. When I said yes, he claimed drifting always wins. I had a choice statements to make about that reply. For one, the game itself outright encourages you to practice drifting extensively and get good at it if you want to win against real people. If we're talking Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in particular, the game has a tendency to give whoever's the first place coin after coin after coin, which wouldn't be an issue if you could just hold more than 10 at once. You know, like you can in Super Mario Kart with no additional benefit. Adding to that, I've stated that fucking coins are the fake item in Mario Kart 8, as they can't defend you from the rich as the second place seems to get 100% of the time when you start the race. This was especially bad in the original Wii U version, where they made the item drug mechanic no longer allow you a second item. Finally, this statement Danny's friend made is a whole different story if you're playing online. I calculated my online win ratio at the time of this video going up. My top 3 placings don't even reach the 50% mark. I asked Danny why his friend said what he said. It is because he doesn't like competing on a competitive level. That statement proved to me that Danny's friends have strong negative traits that I'm not looking for in the friend group, so I decided to stay away from those guys. Once I was called back from furlough, I was asked to work the overnight shift. I don't want to work overnight at any job because I know I'll catch up to me quickly. I'm just not a night owl, and I don't want to develop that habit. Luckily for me, my supervisor at the time was nice enough and allowed me to return to the evening shift. Following my callback, I was getting tired of the attitude my coworkers had given me and had turned in a resignation notice, not having any sort of backup plan. My supervisor, however, told me that I was doing a good enough job to meet company standards. This is a statement that I wanted to hear from my supervisor at my old job, and hearing that from my boss this time caused me to take back my resignation notice. Little did I know, staying at this job was the right call. Things began looking up for me at my job, and I came to appreciate not only the full-time hours, but also the part-time off days that I had. This also allowed me to go retro game hunting, and I started on March 2021 with the Nintendo 64. Mere weeks before I made the decision to brave the freeway for retro game stores, I managed to find a headset mic splitter that had a mic icon on it at GameStop, giving me the impression that it would actually capture the mic after several splitters I tried to only line multiple headphones at once. I tested it out, was pleased that it worked, and decided to record a co-op video of Mario Kart Double Dash with my sibling Abig. During the video, however, I realized that with my stereo headset mic, I wasn't able to hear them ask me questions when we were recording. This is what caused me to realize that a mono headset mic wasn't a bad idea after I had previously written it off, thinking it was useless. I went back to GameStop the next day and I'd see Danny's friend over there chatting about video games to another guy. This is the day that I met Cypher Snake 89, and a month later I introduced him to Danny, forming a trio of friends. He wasn't able to hang out at my house until, shall we say, circumstances pertaining to the pandemic improved, which took a little over a year. I felt happy when Snake was allowed to hang out at others' houses, and this is when I felt like my social situation would see some big improvements. Then, the pandemic would take him away from my area. Certain beliefs caused him to move to another state without a choice, so of course I wasn't happy to hear this news. At the time we met, I had no interest besides video games and the internet, and I never felt that I could make a long-distance friendship work because when I talked to Danny about this, he said I'm basically a one-trick pony. I mean, he's technically not wrong considering I haven't made another friend since, nor found a girlfriend. I'd since gained the desire to draw a webcomic, which spawned from a written project I've been working on whenever I have a moment at work. It's based on an idea I've had since I was in 8th grade in 2007, and I'd even drawn out my interpretation of the main family, a family of cousins with older fraternal twins and younger identical twins. I had the courage to show Abig, who's been drawing for as long as I've been playing video games, and managed to get their interpretation. I wanted so badly to be able to achieve their level, but had a difficult time actually getting started because of the way I'd drawn a cat and a dog in the past. I began drawing a webcomic shortly after moving to the day shift in October 2022, and while my original art style isn't too special, I managed to improve using Abig's interpretation as a base before producing this result in August 2023. Looking at it now, the models could use a bit of work, but I know it could do better. Just a year ago, however, I never would have found myself saying that. I was given the chance to move to the day shift in June 2022, and I wanted that position since I started my current job. I saw that as my way moving forward, as working days would allow me to go out with Danny all 7 days as opposed to only twice a week. Then I found out that the system I used to work on my writing project would no longer work like it did on the evening shift, causing it to enter development hell for me to slowly go insane until I could return to the evening shift the following June. My return to the evening shift had a smooth start, and I was able to make a lot of progress on my writing project with little trouble. Then I had trouble working on it all over again due to getting the same break as one of the assistant supervisors all throughout October 2023. In September, I was going through milestone birthday angst as I was approaching 30 years old and haven't accomplished much of anything. Up to this point, I've never even had a girlfriend, and years prior, I'd always said I should find one before that, as I felt 30s when dating only gets more difficult. Needless to say, I wanted to break from all this going on, but with the holidays coming up, the first week of November offered the highest odds of a PTO approval. However, following this 1-week break, I found out my November would go far more smoothly than the previous 2 months, and now I was in the right mental state to draw my holiday webcomic. With so little free time to work on it with my hybrid approach, I knew I had to get it out fast, which I wasn't able to pull off. The holiday webcomic I planned to put out got so far behind that I had to take both my drawing supplies and my iPad from the digital editing to work. And with getting it out for Christmas out of the question, I had to aim to get it out in time for New Year's Eve, which I at least managed to accomplish. However, I intended to at least start exercising with the treadmill I have at home in November, but with everything going on, I ended up prioritizing my webcomic over my health, which led to a wake-up call for both my mom and myself the day after Christmas. I had just gotten back the results of a blood draw and saw a doctor for a physical. The numbers were not pleasant. I'm just under the cusp of pre-diabetes and my weight is the highest it's ever been. My dad is the least happy about my weight gain due to him having been diagnosed with diabetes in November 2022, and my mom stopped him from going off on me. My mom and I talked following my doctor's appointment. She told me that I have to go on a medically proven diet with some modifications to make it more doable for me starting on New Year's Day 2024. The only exceptions to this diet will include cheese sticks, jello, pickles, and these cherry and pineapple popsicles that say help my folks who they were doing the same diet back in October. All of this with having Danny as my only local friend to complain to. He's given me repeated advice on how to handle my issues. The fact is, I can't do it on my own. This finally led to him being mentally done with my complaining, but until I can lose weight, I'm going to continue leaving a bad first impression online. I've been at this people meeting app thing for almost 10 years, and I'm just exhausted from spending money in preview services just to see who liked my profile, meaning nothing. I'd always assumed that short messages which people were giving me meant overall lack of interest, but Danny told me it's more so because that I'm looking to vent than meet new people online. The thing is, he's had far more time for socializing while all I've done my whole life is play video games by myself. My lack of friends has led to a lot of bad things happening. My weight reached the highest it's ever been, basically losing my only local support system with Danny becoming apathetic to my venting, and even losing my passion for video games. They've been a big part of my life for basically the entirety of it, but I'm tired of playing video games by myself. Danny hasn't heard of the hundreds of games I've played over the years. It's clear to me that I'm far more experienced than him with Snake because that's all I ever did. Like, really? What else am I supposed to do? This was the story of my losing streak that started back when I left my old job in July 2017 and persists to this day. Even then, I had to be a bit opaque while still being transparent over why I haven't been updating my YouTube channel as of late. If you haven't figured it out, this is the reason why my commentary hasn't been the best it could be. For those who don't know, I have autism, but I also haven't had many friends since high school. I've been trying friend-finding apps over the past decade, but they've all been a bust. As a result, I have no stories to share, and I have very little life experience, so no travel stories to tell either. The last time I've been on an airplane was when I was 2 years old, so by proxy I've never flown anywhere. Talking to myself would come naturally for me, and I do it all the time with a drive home from work. The issue is, almost all the stories I could share pertain to work, and for those who don't know, talking about work issues on social media is a good way to get yourself fired. I do have monetary goals, but with the methods of saving money available to me, the process is slow. Way too slow. This diet will be slow too, but it's the only way to lose weight and get my health back on track. 2023 has been a rough year for me. I finally turned 30, I basically lost the only local support I have, and I feel like I haven't accomplished anything. I don't even feel like I'm part of a team in my job because my inability to speak Spanish makes me feel distant from the coworkers in my department. My situation just feels more hopeless, even despite the good things that came with it. By some miracle, Loopy had perfected a capture board for the new 3DS XL in May 2023 after running a test market in December 2022. I was super excited to finally be able to get my hands on one of those things after being forced to miss out on it for so long, and a glimmer of hope appeared on my long road of darkness. I want this losing streak to end. 2023 was a rotten year for me, but I want 2024 to be the year of change. Not just in my personal life, but also for my online content. I want to produce Let's Plays of much longer games, but it wasn't easily doable in the past because of my 3DS capture board blues. Now that that's finally been resolved and I'm in the process of getting dedicated recording units, I can promise the biggest variety of games to come from my channel yet. Just give me time to produce them, especially since I'm still working on my webcomic on the side. Since I finally have a 3DS capture board, I can produce so many games from full Let's Plays to quarter quickies, and I have a boon of Let's Play refreshes to boot. The world of Let's Plays is my oyster. Look forward to these games and so much more from me in the future. On top of all of these games, there's another huge promise that I can make. My first Pokemon Let's Play is now on my list of considerations. The reason it took so long for Pokemon to come from my YouTube channel is because the first Let's Play came out on the Game Boy Advance. The second one that I would have covered came out on the Nintendo DS. You can see why I wouldn't have been able to cover Pokemon in the past, but now I can finally promise it. Look forward to all these games in the future, and I can't wait to see what I can produce now that I finally have my hands on a 3DS capture board. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the future and I'll be able to live up to my name to the fullest. Let's hopefully, and I hope that this losing streak finally comes to an end. I want to lose weight and I want to have more friends. I want to be able to produce multiplayer games as well. Hopefully my situation will improve. See you guys later.